Me is Queen Aset Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Alright guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to someone else who may like it as well. Likewise, I've been telling you guys that I had something very special planned. This week, I'm going to do a movie review of the movie The Craft. Now, this review is not going to be available on my channel. This review I'm doing specifically for my patrons. It is my thank you to those of you who have signed up to be my patrons on Patreon. So, if you haven't become a patron and you want to see this video, underneath here there's going to be the link to my Patreon page. Come sign up to be a patron and you'll be able to view this exclusive video as well. I'm going to be doing a series of videos, and not all of them on my Patreon page. Some of them will be here. But they're going to be about movies who depict witches, witchcraft, Santeria, that kind of magical stuff. And I'm going to tell you, based on the movie, how accurate the depiction is. I'm going to give each one a grade, and I'm going to let you know how accurate it is, or if it's totally Hollywood garbage. So it's going to be very interesting for those of you who don't know a lot about spirituality, a lot about craft, a lot about being a priest or a priestess, to see how many of these movies have a little bit of truth in them and how many have none at all. So if you want to check that out, I'm going to be doing that review this week, and I'm going to be releasing it this week on my Patreon page. So stay tuned. All right, guys, let's tackle a big question today. I had an Aquarius man send me a message. He has a Cancer girlfriend. He said they've been together for 10 years. 2 years ago, she cheated on him, but he decided to stay with her. They have 2 children, and he decided that the best thing to do was to forgive her and to move forward. Plus, he had made some mistakes in the relationship too. So he was like, well, it's just desserts. So now he says the problem is that it's 2 years later, and he is obsessed with her cheating, or thinking that she might cheat, or she might do it again, or she's still doing it. He's obsessed. He's always looking at her stuff, always looking over her shoulder at her phone messages. He listens very carefully when she's talking on the phone. He said that he just does not trust her. And he's constantly worried that she's still out there in the street. And he hasn't had any evidence. Nothing else has come up. She promised him it was just him and her. He has not been with anybody else since then. And he still tells me that he's obsessed with this idea. And he wants me to tell him what can he do about his obsession with her being unfaithful. My thing is this. This is why I would never stay with a person who was unfaithful, because I know I would never trust them again. And that's what has happened here. Your trust has been broken. You don't trust her. And until you either learn to trust her again, enough time passes and she doesn't do anything, and you see that you can trust her again. But that's really the only way that you can handle a situation like this. This is why I would not stay in situations like this, because I know I'll personally, as an Aquarius, trust is not something that we give easily. And once it's broken, it's even that much harder to get it a second time. So as an Aquarius, I wouldn't stay in a situation like this simply because I know that. But as far as you're concerned, you've decided to stay. You've decided to work this out. You're going to have to just accept the fact that you don't trust her. Period. You're going to have to just accept it. And I can't tell you to stop being obsessed, or to stop looking, stop doing this, stop doing that, because your mind isn't going to stop moving. And whenever she moves different or does something or gets a text message, your mind is automatically going to go there because you don't trust her. This is what happens when you stay in a relationship with somebody you don't trust. This is one of the things you're going to deal with, that obsessive compulsive belief that they could be doing something. And for a lot of couples, this is what tears them apart, because the other person in the couple can't get past the infidelity. They can't get past the obsession with it. So the only thing you can do if you want to stay in this relationship is accept that you don't trust her. You're going to have to just accept it and allow her and you to emotionally process through what happened, and maybe one day be able to come back to a space where you trust one another. You're going to have to just accept it if you want to be in this relationship, because when somebody cheats or when somebody does something that betrays your trust, the first thing that happens is when the trust breaks is you're automatically always watching them. You're automatically, like, if somebody comes in your house and steals something, no matter if they never steal again, it does not matter. You're always going to remember that time they stole something. It can be 20 years later. I see it in my family. Somebody come over and somebody be like, well, you know, so-and-so steals. And I'm like, they stole in 1974, you know? But people are never going to stop seeing you in that light. And to be honest with you, I'm always going to watch you. I'm always going to watch a person who has been caught stealing, even if it was 1974. So the thing is that it's hard to, when you have a reputation for doing something along the lines of betrayal, it's almost impossible for you to change that except for time. You can rebuild trust over time by being trustworthy. So there are couples who've dealt with this, and that's what happens. But it's a slow process, and the couple really should go to some kind of couples therapy to work through the process. That's what I would definitely recommend. You guys didn't get any counseling. The situation occurred and you just bounced back into the relationship. I think that you should go talk with someone and talk about what happened, talk about the obsession, talk about the fear, talk about the lack of trust. That's what I would do. I would get a therapist and go talk to them together about what has happened and how we can move forward. They'll be able to help you, maybe do some trust exercises, give you some books to read, things along those lines. But for now, you're just going to have to accept that that's where you are in your process. If you want to be able to make this work, you're going to have to get past that. You're going to have to get past the obsession as well, but I suspect that's going to happen later. That's what the therapy is going to help you with. Because if she's honestly not doing anything and you're honestly not doing anything either, it's time to let the past go. And if you guys want to move forward together, that's how you do it. And it's not easy because, like I said, this is something I would have a really hard time with because, like I said before, once you break an Aquarius's trust, it's really hard to get it back. So A, you have to accept the fact that you don't trust her. B, you have to accept the fact that it's not going to be no time soon that you're going to trust her again. C, you have to work through the obsession by gradually progressing through the emotions of this relationship. Okay? So I also want to remind you that you don't want to keep accusing the child of cheating and she ain't doing nothing. Because that'll run you guys right back into another situation. If she can't trust you, if you can't trust her and she feels constantly criticized and judged and she not even doing anything, that too could lead you guys down a slippery slope. So you don't want to keep accusing her of doing things either. I mean, if you have evidence of her doing something and you bring it to her attention, that's fine. But if you just saying little smart shit, because this is what people will do. They'll say little smart shit. Like you'll be like, oh, I'm going to the store. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, you going to the store. You know, they'll question where you're going. They'll question who you're talking to. I'm talking to my mama. Your mama again. You know, stuff like that. You don't even have to say, I think you're talking to another man, but just your tone and the way that you get that look, that accusing look, So you have to don't constantly accuse the poor child of doing something unless you really have some evidence that she's doing something, because that'll lead her to do something. It'll lead her into the arms of another man. It will. If she's constantly being accused, some people that will lead them to another person. Some people, they'll just say, F it. He think I'm doing it anyway, I might as well, So don't keep on accusing her and making little innuendos, little smart comments. If you're going to stay with her and you're going to start, trying to learn to forgive her again, you have to let go of the past. And that's where the therapy comes in. And of course, she has to agree to it, but I would push for it if I were you, because that is the best way for you to be able to maintain this relationship and go forward. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you for your letter, and I hope everything goes well. Now, it's time for me to get going. So if you want to contact me, all my information will be underneath this video. Likewise, if you want to become one of my patrons on Patreon, that information will be underneath this video. If you would like to send me a love donation, my PayPal will be underneath this video. And if you would like to get a reading done, please email me and I'll give you an appointment. All right, guys, come back soon because I have a lot more to say. See you later.